In the know.
Good evening, everyone.
In the know.
Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? Is this a reality we simply have to accept? Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead and get started.
Inherently, there's always a danger to working part-time during the disability process. First, this is one of the biggest things that I like to tell people. Whenever you're filling out any of the forms, whenever you're going to any of your appointments with Social Security, or when you're in your hearing, you're under oath. And most times they tell you, you're promising to tell the truth. So you can't be slick and think, okay, I'm not going to let them know that I'm doing a little side thing. You have to divulge that you're working part-time, because remember, you bear the burden of proving that you're disabled. So if there's a chance that you're working, Social Security needs to know that in order to be able to determine what impact that work will have on your claim for disability benefits. Now, I tell people this all the time. Just because you're working part-time doesn't mean it's going to absolutely kill your case. That's not the case here. What I do stress to individuals is that everything is on a case-by-case basis, so it's very important for you to understand that if you're working part-time, it is going to have an impact on your case. The key is how much of an impact is dependent upon the circumstances involved in your case. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back from the break, so that you can get an understanding of how to properly get an understanding of what type of impact your working part-time is going to have on your case.
Under the Social Security regulations, representatives are permitted to practice before the administrative agency anywhere in the country, which means that when you're looking for a representative, you can find someone who doesn't necessarily have to be in your state if you're just going before the administrative agency. So it's possible to have an attorney or representative who's from Utah, even though you may be in Georgia. And our office is actually no different. So if you're wondering which states we cover, check this out. Now, the tricky part is once you have to sue the Social Security Administration. Under that situation, you want to have an attorney that's representing you in your jurisdiction. So if you have a representative who's in another state and you've gone all the way to the Appeals Council and you've been denied and you want to sue the Social Security Administration, you make sure you ask that representative whether or not they can sue someone in that particular state.
Okay. Let's start with a very fundamental premise. Let's say, for instance, you've taken upon yourself to work part-time. Now you're in that situation where now you have to tell Social Security about it. What do you need to do? It's very simple. Think about it from the who, what, where, when, why. So you want to tell them, who are you working for? What date did you get started? When did what date you got started? When you got started? Who are you working for? When did you get started? Okay. What are you doing? That's where people get lost in the translation. What are you doing in terms of the breakdown in terms of how many hours a day are you working? Are you working a set schedule? Are you working a flex schedule? Is the employer aware about the fact that you're applying for disability? And if they're not, are they aware that you have impairments? If they know that you have impairments, are they accommodating you for your situation? How much money are you getting made per month? And the bigger thing is, are you working a certain number of hours because that's the most number of hours they can prescribe to you? Or are you working a certain number of hours because as a result of your impairments, that's all you can do? You would think that you're like, oh man, all those things are important because Social Security wants to know whether or not, the reality is when you're applying for disability benefits, you're telling the government that your condition keeps you from working. So guess what? You've got to prove that you're disabled. So when you go back to work, Social Security wants to know about the circumstances behind it. Don't hide from it, run from it, or treat it like it's an enemy and it's going to just blow up your case. Be prepared to explain in detail the circumstances. The devil is in the details. The less you leave out, the more you leave it up to the government to figure it out. So take the time to explain it. the circumstances of how you're doing your part-time work may be helpful to your case. Like, for instance, let's say you're only working 10 hours a week. You can come in whenever you want to. Some days you work a couple of hours. Some days you work only 1 hour. You leave whenever you want to. You can come in whenever you want to, and your employer is aware that you're having problems. But anything over 10 hours and it basically hurts you because you just physically can't do it. Guess what? That's information that may be helpful to your case. So, but just on the flip side, let's say you're working 20 hours a week and you could work more, but you're thinking, oh, I don't want to work more because that might hurt my case. Well, if you can physically work more, that's what Social Security wants to know about. So don't treat working part-time as a claim killer. That's really the wrong way of looking at it. Treat it as just another aspect of your case that you have to educate Social Security about with regards to the circumstances, so that when they're making a determination of whether or not they believe you're disabled, they will understand the context of how you're working and not merely that you are working.
I want to thank all of you for engaging in the videos. Make sure you take the opportunity to send me any comments or send me any particular questions that you want me to have addressed here. As you know, this show is for you, and so the only way I can make sure that I can provide you some good information is if you provide me some good questions. Keep them coming, and right here on Q&A, Social Security Disability Today.